Welcome to Micro Metal Mondays. Welcome back to Micro Metal Mondays. This week we are discussing Metallica's second studio album, Ride the Lightning. This is like the other Metallica album we spoke about, Master of Puppets, is one of the most important thrash metal albums in history. Potentially one of the most important metal albums in history also. This album done a lot to establish thrash metal in the mainstream, or at least to get thrash metal's foot into the mainstream, if you will. This album was recorded in Copenhagen in Denmark in the Sweet Silence Studios by Flemming Rasmussen. He was the producer. This album was released on July 27th of 1984. The band members were at the time the classic lineup of James Hetfield on rhythm guitar and vocals, Kirk Hammett on lead guitar, Lars Ulrich on drums, and Cliff Burton on bass. And this also had a lot of songs on it written by the former band member and founder of Megadeth, Dave Mustaine. There's something I find rather beautiful about this album, in terms of the clean guitar work, if I may speak about that. Many people, when they talk of Metallica, they talk a lot of their heavy riffs, which is completely understandable, especially even on this album where a lot of the guitar riffs shine and there's a lot of iconic really fast, really heavy riffs. But what they don't get a lot of love for or acknowledgement of is their incredible acoustic intros and interludes and beautiful works. They're very classically inspired. This comes from Cliff Burton's influence on the band. He was classically trained, so he helped a lot in the writing of this. And it really strikes you when you listen to this how much more mature the album is in comparison to a lot of other metal albums, and even Metallica's sophomore debut, Kill 'Em All. I'd also recommend you to listen to that album. It's that album's very quick, very, very angry. Not a lot of slow, methodical works on it, except for Anesthesia, which is a bass track by Cliff, which is very classically inspired. If you listen to that track, you'll understand where the influences on this album came from. Now, there's a lot of tracks on here that were covered by Metallica themselves in a later album. Now, I wanted to save this for now when I've talked about both this album and Master of Puppets. The album is called the S&M album, Symphony and Metallica. Metallica teamed up with a symphony orchestra, and they did covers of a lot of their songs. Some of the production in Ride the Lightning, the original album, is quite dated. On the likes of Call Cthulhu, which is a fantastic track. It's an instrumental. It's the last track of the album, written by Dave Mustaine, actually. Or a lot of the riffs were taken from Dave Mustaine to be put in that song. It's very heavy on Cliff's bass work, but it's very hard to actually hear on the album because of how dated the mix is. So that's something I'd suggest. Listen to this album in its entirety. It's absolutely fantastic. But please go and listen to Metallica's SNL album as well, because that is It has possibly some of the best symphony and metal band collaboration you will ever hear. There's not much else like it. Thank you for listening.